it's so funny because in my last podcast, I was like, I'm not going to talk to my parents anymore. And then I come right back every single time.
Yeah.
And it's a little hard because I've been seeing a lot of estrangement content.
Just a heads up, this episode does touch on experiences like childhood trauma, abuse, and mental health. I trust that you know yourself best, so tune in if you have capacity for it. Hola, you're listening to First Gen Healing, a podcast on Latinx healing and awakening journeys. My name is Priscila Luna. I am your host and intuitive prima. And I feel all giddy because I'm listening to someone that I have watched kind of step up or like step into her power online, and that has been really cool. So we have Zadria Knives is what she goes by. So welcome on the podcast, mujer. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
I'm just so grateful to be here. It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Yay. I'm so happy. And yeah, we were talking prior. She's like, I've listened to most of the episodes, and that's so beautiful to me. And I'm, always so thankful to meet people that get me, that understand the point of what I'm doing here. So I'm excited to maybe get to know what has led you even to get to the point where you're open to hearing other people's stories and also now sharing yours. So where should we get started?
Well, I did want to say I am a full listener, a full supporter of the First Gen Healing podcast. I've told Priscilla this earlier when we were chatting it up, that I've listened to all the episodes except for one, and it was one meditation one. And the only reason was because I was driving and I didn't want to get hypnotized. And this, if forever anyone listening to this podcast, if this is like the first like episode you listen to, like I'm not like that. I'm a person who it's like, oh, I see someone's podcast that like they're promoting it online. It resonates with me. I'm like, I'm gonna go listen to it from the beginning all the way to. Like, I can't do it any other way. Like I can't.
Okay. Wow. So since the beginning, and that was almost 3 years ago actually that I started the podcast. So you've seen the progression. Yeah.
It only gets better.
Yeah, that's what thank you. That's what I would say también. Okay, so maybe I want to start with what is coming up for you in your current experience, and then we can maybe go backwards that way. But like, what are you navigating right now? Because I imagine these times, life has just bubbled up different things for different people. So yeah, maybe we can start there.
Yeah, so I guess I would say that one of the things that I've come to understand about myself is literally what you said earlier, like my power. When I was little, I was always so shy and nervous just to exist and take up space. Like, oh no, what if someone sees me? What if someone perceives me doing something not in the best way or whatever? But right now, I'm really trying to, I guess if you would say like a family is a blanket, but I'm trying to weave the little holes that are in it, little tears here. That's like the moment I'm finding myself in. It's hard. It's tedious. Like, I don't know if you've ever tried to like, when when we're mending our little holes in clothes or anything, it's a little bit of a chinga because sometimes they rip in ways that, oh my God, how am I even gonna fix this little tear? Like, or if I do too much or if I do less, like it's gonna just get bigger. And I think that's something that a lot of first gens are dealing with, just standing in the present and looking backwards and seeing like, damn, like my parents went through this and their parents went through that and their parents' parents went through this and this and that. How do I weave it all together? How do I weave it all together so we could stand together instead of just apart?
Wow. I was thinking instantly too, like the power of looking, daring to look, right? Daring to see like the tears. Because as you're saying, like previous generations. I feel like a lot of us maybe grew up with the conditioning of just like it's kind of like blur it out, leave it in the past, continue, move forward, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And that's how they survived. And so for our generation or those of us that maybe are healing and awakening, I feel like it's that daring to look back, like daring to look it in the face and say, well, what did you go to through? And maybe well, at least I have found myself with my parents and family, like them sharing stuff that maybe they never even considered as part of their story, or they never like integrated into their like, oh, how does this affect me? It's kind of like we're doing that sometimes for them también, como being like, did you see this hole? Like, because I notice it, and then kind of
Mhm.
going back like that. Have you noticed yourself having those types of conversations with others?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Especially with my parents, obviously, who else could I like know their story like the best? And
Yeah.
it's crazy because I think like I guess I don't know, the role of a parent is so trippy. Like, I'd like to think
Mm-hmm.
there's like this meme online where people are talking about imagine the first woman ever to give birth. She must have been like, what the fuck? What is going on?
That's
And
true.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, and it's crazy because that story with mothers, I guess I would say like the person whose story like I'm like going over and over and over and over in my head is my mother's,
Okay.
because women like immigrant women, Mexican women, women who like they do so much work as a housewife, as a homemaker in general, only to take on more work, like as like domestic duties in other people's homes to make
Mm,
ends meet, to help the dad, to help my father, to help the family. Sometimes maybe because the head of the household isn't doing the best job or isn't living up to the role that all little girls are told that they are.
yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think
Mm,
that's the person who I think I look at, I reference her like, hey mom, remember this? Hey mom, and she
mhm.
tells me some stories about how like, oh yeah, this happened to me one time, and she laughs about it. I'm like,
Mm,
mom, like that's a pretty big moment. Like, how do you feel about it? And I sit with her about it, and then
wow.
I just listen. Like the power of just listening and like just like se le
Yeah.
salen todos. Like con cualquier señora, I
Mm,
think. Like whatever señora, like you just, give her enough attention, she'll tell you
yeah.
everything. And their vulnerability is very beautiful, but then comes the denial. Oh, pero no pasa nada.
Mm,
You know?
yeah. Yeah. Estoy bien, no te preocupes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So you have that open communication with her.
I do. I do. I
Okay.
would it's a little difficult because I don't know how like older or like young your parents are, but my mom, she had her first baby at 13, 14.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, so it's a really hard position to put a child in. Like, oh, she didn't make it to finish her childhood. So that's something that I've been
Mhm.
trying to like keep in mind, because like I think
Mhm.
like, oh, I didn't have a childhood and things like that. But then I put into
Mm,
perspective like, wait, but I finished my school. Then I went to high
mhm.
school, then I went to college. I had a whole like, yeah, it wasn't always rainbows and sunshines. Honestly, it was probably storms most of the time.
Mm,
But I had it. I got to experience that, and she didn't. Like, she didn't get to
yeah.
develop. So, what helps me, like, whenever she's acting out or whatever, being chiflada, being sangrona or whatever, terca, why are they so tercas? I'm like, I just imagine her as a tween, like that 14-year-old that got so much robbed, like, so much
Mm,
robbed from her. And it helps me a lot because I'm like, oh, Brisita, like what's my mom's name? Oh, Brisita chiquita. Like, that's not just some lady who's just pissed at me for no reason. That's a little girl screaming. Sometimes it's a little
mm.
exhausting being the only person
Yeah.
who sees that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And holding that space. I
Hmm.
think one thing that's coming up for me también is like when we start to do that, we also start to realize like, whoa, I would have hoped that you did ABC for me, but in hearing your story and seeing how you react to your own trauma, I'm recognizing you can't do A, B, and C for yourself. You know, like the space that I wish you, at least for me, like sometimes the space that I wish you held for me, you don't hold for yourself. The depth that I wish you explored with me of my emotions, maybe you don't do for yourself. So it's like recognizing, like, wow, I'm I'm asking for something you can't give, you know, or I'm looking for something in you that you can't give. And that was actually really freeing for like the people pleaser in me, let's say, you know, where I felt like I needed to meet her needs constantly until I recognized actually, like, you can't meet your own needs sometimes. And that's okay. But then it's okay that I can't, you know, and it gave me that, like, como que una cadena se rompió, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm wondering, like, what cadenas have broken for you in being able to hold that space for her and talk to her, or is it a different experience that you get from holding this space?
Definitely a similar experience. Some of the cadenas that I think I've broken with my mom is literally by just listening to her and understanding her. Like
Mm.
when I how do I say? I don't know. I wouldn't say psychoanalyze her, but for lack of a better word, because I'm not a psychologist,
Mhm.
so I psychoanalyze her and I like make sense of her actions. When she was, I guess I could say, neglectful of my emotional needs a little bit, and maybe not even emotional, but as well as some physical ones like protection.
Okay. Mhm.
Um, but I think back like and put myself in her shoes. I was like, they don't. My mom, she was sleeping all day, like sleeping all day. All she would do is cook and then go right back to sleep. And I was like, oh, she was depressed. You know,
Mm.
she was
Mhm.
depressed. My mom was going through depression. She was not. She was checked out. You know, she was on
Mm.
autopilot, and
Mhm.
a lot of it was because of her abusive relationship with my dad. My dad's older. They met uh, in Mexico, and then they came to the
Mhm.
U.S. You know, um, and that really, when I put it into words for her, she's like, "Then why are you mad at me if you understand?" And I'm like, "Because I get to feel this,
Mm.
and I can validate you at the same time. Like
Yeah.
those two things can happen at the same time." And for her
Yeah.
to like rechazar, she tries to rechazarlo sometimes. My nuance bothers her. My nuance bothers her.
Okay.
She's like, either you
Yeah.
love me as a mom and I'm like the best thing ever, or you hate me because I did these many mistakes, and we can't have both.
And
We
I'm the
can't have both.
worst, and yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I think that in understanding, it's also like searching for that within them, you know, like I'm showing you I understand you. Can you show me you understand me? You know, like,
yes.
yeah. Sometimes I think we can get stuck in that, in like, como abriéndonos nuestros corazones so much to engulf everything that they've been through and trying to understand and putting their puzzle together basically. But at some point I think I recognize, like, I also need to focus on my own puzzle because I may never finish hers, you know, like I
Mhm.
may never see it the way that I think I need to see it, you know, and she may never see mine the way I want her to see it. So I need to focus on that. Like, have you found yourself redirecting, or you're right now, maybe you're in a phase where you're like open and have that space to hold for her?
Um, listen. I'm a multitasking queen, I think.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I like go back and forth and back and forth. It's a little tedious, but I think I do both. Um, it gets exhausting trying to like learn her story and trying to piece it together for her sometimes because I see it. I know that she knows whatever thing that happens, like she deserves better. I know that she knows that like that little girl who was in Veracruz, um, 14-year-old running away from home, like I know that she deserves better. And it's hard, but it's so funny because in my last podcast I was like, I'm not gonna talk to my parents anymore. And then
Mm,
I come right back every single time. And
yeah. Yeah.
it's a little hard because I've been seeing a lot of estrangement content. on
Mm-hmm.
TikTok. And sometimes there are some cases where it's like, yeah, like you're not safe there.
Right.
Some I don't blame anyone for going no contact at all. Like I had my reasons, which I can get into in a bit. Um, but that never worked for me. You know, like it never
Okay.
felt right. Like it never felt right. Maybe it's the fucking Mexican in me, the family, and it's everything, whatever. But I'd like to think that maybe the reason Mexicans and like Latinos in general are so emphasis on family, it was because that's the thing that after colonization, that's the only thing we had close that resembles a community.
Mm,
And because we were disconnected from our pueblos, we were individualized, forced to all be workers and earn our living instead of living communally.
mm-hmm.
So when I think of it in that term, it's like my family is my community, and they're like not just them, like everyone who lives like 10 miles, like in the radius of me, like they're my community as well. And when I think of it in terms like that, I like take my personal, so separate my personal shit with them. It's a lot easier to maneuver. It's like they're just people. They're just
Mm,
people too,
mm-hmm.
and like sometimes people are shitty, you know, but like whoever has not sinned, throw a stone, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ooh, I think you're naming something that a lot of people probably go through on their minds, like no contact, right? And what does that look like? And could I ever do that? And is it that bad? And I want to honor my story, but then I also want to honor these ties or this sense of community. So I definitely think like that is just at least in conversations I've had too, like one on one, people go through that. It's like some what you're naming is so real. It's like we're learning all of this, we're becoming so self-aware, and at the end of the day though, there is a piece of us that wants to keep coming back, and maybe fix it. But I think as long as también como we recognize, like you said, are you in danger in doing that? Are you, like what is the impact it's having on you? That's probably important to keep in mind. um but also I was wondering, like, do you think it's also because we're first gen, so we don't fully have like a lot of family on, or at least I don't. I don't know if you do have a lot of family that's near you?
well, my family's like spread out because we all immigrated. Um,
Okay.
my the only family I have here in Texas is my direct family, o sea, mis papás y mis hermanos. And my family, my dad is from Peru, and my mom is de Mexico.
Mm,
Mi mamá es de Veracruz y mi papá es de Lima.
okay.
And I have family in Cusco because where my grandma's from. And then like my parents' siblings, like mis tíos, uno de mis tías se fue para Nueva York y
Mm,
otros se fueron para Italia. Like it was a whole thing.
wow.
So yeah,
Yeah.
like they're really spread out. So I definitely feel really alone. Like sometimes it's like, oh,
Mhm.
we don't have the big Christmases with everyone. It's just us,
Mm,
and every time it's a holiday, I pleito because someone didn't
mm,
get their way, and it's usually like the narcissist, like in the family, like um, and I think the first gen experience of it all is just very isolating.
mhm.
We're kind of, well, so many Latinos in general are already detribalized because we're disconnected from our indigenous roots, sometimes by force, sometimes by choice. And it's tough because it's like, who do I run to? Who do I
Yeah.
run to when I need help? I can't, like, I know my parents have been not the best in the past, but I know that no matter what, like they're gonna be here to catch me when I fall. Not everyone's parents are like that. Not
Mm,
everyone's parents are
mhm.
like that. That's why I feel it's kind of a little bit of conundrum because I feel blessed and grateful for my parents. But then they say like the most out of pocket ignorant stuff, and I'm like, I know that
Yeah.
it's because you lack education, you lack socializing. Like our parents are just basically work and then house.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't interact with other people, other cultcultures, other groups. Like nomás en su bubble.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I think if anything, like I have friends here. I have amistades, I have communities, I go to, like, I went to college here, I'm known here. I'm a
Mm.
local. They don't
Mhm.
have that. They
Yeah.
don't have that. And it's really like, just if you decide to do estrangement, all the power to you. Like, I believe that you have your reasons. But
Mhm.
if you go back and if you were trying to not even make amends, but just have like some sort of stability, some sort of access to community, like, I also don't think that's a bad thing at all. So
Okay.
my big thing that pushed me into, I guess, my healing era, trying to like mend the blanket, my own
Mhm.
personal little blanket, was I experienced COCSA. It's child on child SA,
Mhm.
and it's really common. That's the thing. It's a lot more common than people think. It happens in impoverished communities, but it's not, oh, it's because you're poor. Like,
Exclusive.
no,
Uh-huh.
yeah, no, it's because there is a lack of resources, there's a lack of education, and that's on purpose.
Mhm.
There's this movie that I did a review on with a very good friend of mine. It's called Madenusa. It's a Peruvian girl living in a pueblito, and the pueblito is really, really fucked up. It's because have been colonized. They took away their indigenous ways of living. They took away like the mutual respect in the community, right? And there's lots of incest that goes on, like padres abusando
Mm.
de sus hijas and treating them like that. And the movie has a lot of issues, lots of issues, especially the director. But it spoke to like chingada madre, like it's the reality of a lot of like women and children like all over the world. And parents don't want to hear that. They don't
Mm.
want to hear that like my my kid was abusing my other kid and I didn't know, and I it's that guilt. The
Mhm.
guilt sends
Mhm.
them into denial. Pero es tu hermana. No, ella no te va a hacer nada malo. This and this and that. It's like, maybe they didn't even know what they were doing, but it happened for a reason. Like, no kid just goes and like does sexual things like de la nada.
Right.
Like, it's because they heard it, they saw it somewhere. Maybe they had access to the internet in places that they shouldn't have, like times that they shouldn't have, and they're trying to replicate those things.
Mm.
And ancestral abuse is really, it's really tricky, because it's like, okay, this person did this to me, like, now what? I
Mm.
no, so when
Yeah.
I was, and that's the thing, like, as a chiquita, I felt like I was like the black sheep of the family. Like, have you watched Familia Peluche? Yes, right.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I'm Viri. Hi, Viri, ¿por qué no eres una niña normal? When
Yeah.
she literally is the most normal out of all of them. She
Yeah.
just has a good heart and tries to
Yeah.
do things the right way and is trying not to be dysfunctional. The eldest daughter curse.
Mm.
And it's funny because in the show, it's just a comedic relief, but when you put yourself into the character, it's just a person who's just being constantly ridiculed for trying for caring.
Yeah. Yeah.
And desde
So you're
chiquita,
the
that's how I
eldest.
felt.
Okay.
No, I
Okay.
technically no, but I consider myself the eldest because my older siblings don't count.
Okay.
They don't count because, and I don't want to talk like, nah, that's a lie. I do want to talk ill of them. um, I don't think they're good people. I don't think they're
Mm.
good people, but not because like they were born that way and they're evil demons who are just destined to be like that. No, I don't think they're good people because they never cared to look deeper into themselves. They just projected the toxic patterns that they learned growing up, and they never wanted to do better than that.
Okay.
And I did. I did. And I have two little siblings, and they're my world. I would do anything to protect them, and I have. And because of what I experienced, I was like, no, that's not going to happen to them. Like, not on my watch, at least.
Younger are they than you? Your younger siblings?
My little sister is 5 years younger than I am, and my little
Okay.
brother, I believe, is 7. So
Okay.
they were
Yeah.
always just with me. They were always
Mm-hmm.
just with me, and I was like their babysitter, I guess, if you could say that. Like, eldest.
Yeah.
Like, I was the eldest person in the house.
Okay. Yeah.
Because my older siblings, they're also 5 years, 7 years, like, above me, right? So
Mm.
they were like working, college, siempre estaban afuera, and they would just come home when they wanted to. And
Mm-hmm.
it would leave, they would leave, that would leave me with my mom, my little depressed mom who's sleeping all the time,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
my siblings. And my mom just didn't have the energy. She didn't have the energy. She didn't have the capacity to sit there and entertain the kids. Like, so she sent me, and I gladly did
Yeah.
it because, and I would have like, okay, like, do an impression of Shakira. Oh, let's do videos. Oh, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then they started doing their own little like events. I guess like one time they did like a glow in the dark
Mm.
party, and they just got
Aw.
like random snacks from the pantry and arranged them, and they like put little lights. They're like, it's a party, like stuff like that, like kid stuff.
Yeah. Mm.
But yeah, like that's where I'm coming from with everything,
Mm-hmm.
and like coming to my parents and being like, hey, this happened to me, you ignored it. I asked for help. I told you in like the way I could. I was a
Mm-hmm.
kid. Like, I was a kid. Like, never watched any like thing explicit. I would still cover my eyes when like
Mm.
sex scenes would pop up in movies. Like, no sabía nada.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know that stuff.
Right.
And so when it was presented to me, it was really scary. It was really
Mm-hmm.
scary. And my parents went into denial, which makes sense. But it hurt.
At
It
that
hurt a
time,
lot.
or when you brought it up to their attention? The the denial.
Um, when I okay, my older sister was went through a lot. She went through a lot. She had a lot of things that happened to her, and I was her like outlet. Um,
Mm.
I was like just like, I guess, a little object to make her feel better, like a consolation prize. And so when things wouldn't go her way, then she'd be like, "Let's go. I'll buy you um, a treat. You know, I'll buy you something," because she was working, so she had money. My mom does not work, and if she does, it's to
Okay.
help like for the rent. It's not just like for us to be like buying. Like, no, like my mom was always like, "No compren mugrero," like things that we don't need. She's like, "You don't buy them. It's a waste of money." So my
Mm-hmm.
sister would be like, "I'll buy you food. I'll buy you this. I'll buy you,"
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and she was essentially like, make me feel like what was happening wasn't like a big deal. And to this day, like I've spoken to her about it. I was like, hey, you did this shit to me. That was fucked up, and this and this and that. And then she apologized. And then when we saw each other again, she was like, I can't believe you said that about me. That's crazy. Like, girl.
Wow. Okay.
My
Dismissing it.
Yeah. And when I was a kid, I was just like, Mom, this person, X person, is making me give her massages and naked, and I don't want to do that. Like, and she's threatening me. Like, if I don't do this, then she won't clean the room when it's her turn to clean the room, um, because she's tired. And please help. And
Oh,
my mom was like, just charge her. Just
like
charge her.
money?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like, you don't have to do
okay.
it for free. Just charge her. And I was like, okay. So I
Wow.
just began charging her. And because she, like, a kid is not going to charge you like the amount of money that a massage is actually worth. A kid is going to charge you $10.
Right.
And but my mom was like, oh, she's just making her sister give her a massage because she's tired from work. Whatever, it's not a big deal. But it wasn't the only thing that she would do, and our dynamic was really nasty. Like, it was really inappropriate. And I didn't know how to communicate it because I didn't have the language to communicate it. I didn't know about sex. The only thing I knew about sex was you don't do it until you're married. And if you do it, you're not worth anything. So I told my mom, and that's what she said. Coming from her background, it makes sense. She came from a place that's 10 billion times worse. So for her to see my situation, it's like, she'll be fine. You know what I mean? And that makes sense to me now. Like, I don't villainize her for it. But then I came to her as an adult and I was like, hey, she did that to me. And then she did this and this, and she treats me like this and this and that, and this and this and that. And because it wasn't the only thing, like, this type of abuse like continued until like I was an adult. Like, she would have like relations, like relaciones. Like, cuando la iba a visitar, she would have men go over and like do stuff while I was in the restroom or things like that. And it was just like, that's just so inappropriate. Like, I'm not like, maybe with your friend, right? Maybe with a friend who tells you it's okay, like, you can go have your fun, I'll be in whatever, but not your sister, like, not your little sister.
Yeah.
And I would tell her these things, and I would tell her this stuff, and she'd just stare at me, like,
your mom,
like, oh, that,
or your sister?
Like,
okay.
My mom, like, that's it, like, it's fine, like, and then we just didn't talk about it, you know. Then it just go, time would pass by, and it bubbles up, and then eventually I moved away. I moved away with my husband. We moved to Washington State, and while my husband was working, I was left alone with my thoughts, right? Working on the podcast, working on like homemaker stuff. I'm living my life, but then it hit me. It hit me like a truck. I was like, oh my God, like, that happened to me and no one cared. Like, that happened to me and no one cared. And I got a lot of resentment. Obviously, I was very angry. And then I did cut him off for a bit. Like, I not cut him off, but it's just like, I'm not gonna reach out to you.
Okay.
Let's see how you reach out to me. And no se hacía. Because my mom would be like, you scare me. You scare me. Like, no, you're scared of
accountability.
You're scared of facing it, like, because it goes so much deeper than that. Like, the shit gets dark. And right now, like, recently, I got my parents in one room and I was like, this happened. You're not gonna gaslight me into thinking that it didn't. You guys didn't do enough. And then I set my boundaries. Like, I was like, I'm not asking you to like have her like or anything. I'm not pressing charges. I'm not, because the system is not going to do anything. I'm not telling you to never talk to her again. The only thing I asked of you guys was to not speak to her about me, not speak to me about her. And if she calls, just step away. That's all I asked for, like, you know, because I understand that there's a lot to process. They couldn't even do that. So then that's why I started like, no, ahora sí no lo van a hacer. Like, these are my boundaries, and you guys need to know that happened. That is fucked up. No matter which way you flip it, it's fucked up. And to any kid who has experienced anything like that, like, that's not okay. Maybe your parents didn't have the proper sex education, because who does? And that's understandable, but that is not okay. And you didn't deserve that. And I just encourage them to start their healing journey. And I wish you just the best of luck, because the people I meet who are like me and have like similar experiences, they hide all their creativity. They hide it all. Like it's like that abuse blocked like their expression.
Yeah.
And when I went to Washington, my sister was a bully. Above anything, she was a bully. My older brother as well. And then it escalated to abuser, right? To predator area. And because that bitch was grown. Like that bitch was grown. You know what I mean? Like she like yeah, she did stuff, but like it wasn't when I was like super little. No, like I was
Yeah.
like
And she wasn't
12.
little.
No, like she was high
Yeah.
school and above,
Okay.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so shit, it's just heavy. Because I was like this with her. I thought it was like, oh my god, like someone loves me. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
not only that, I'm queer. Um, and I was always like this. Like I was one of like the advocates, like for my in my family. Like if they were saying some
Mm-hmm.
fucked up, like they did shit, like about the LGBT community or whatever, I'd be like,
Yeah.
that's wrong. They're people, you know what I mean? And then my mom and
Yeah.
parents would be like, ¿Qué te importa? Tú no ni eres. And I'd be like, you know what I mean?
Little did you
So
know.
little did you know, mother. But it was dismissed, you know? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
that other layer. It was dismissed
Mm.
because it's a female
Yeah, a
causing
sister
harm.
with. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if my brother would have done anything of the sort, oh, you know what I mean? It'd be over. But they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, "Oh, it's fine. It's fine because she's a girl, and like girls can't hurt each other amongst girls." And that's a lie, you know. And
Right.
that's a lie because there is abusive queer relationships, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that's like just because like you know that doesn't make any sense. And they would like villainize me, be like, "Oh no, she's just taking it wrong. She's just being morbosa, thinking about it wrong because she's queer, you know."
Mm.
And that's another hit, you know. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh,
Wow.
yeah, it's just tough. And that's what I was gonna say. She was a bully, right? She was a bully. She would like bust into my. I would try to be singing in the shower very poorly at the time because I was a child. Um, and she would bust into the restroom, open like the curtain, make fun of me, and then tell me, "Don't sing, you suck." This and this and that. Like that shit. That's fucked
Mm.
up. Like what in your
Mm-hmm.
like what like maybe I was just her cathartic release, you know, because
And always. Yeah. Yeah.
and so I stopped singing. I stopped
Mm.
trying to learn how to sing and I loved it. Like I love music. Like I love music. Like I'm not a musician, but I love music. And I stopped that, you know. And it wasn't until I moved to Washington where I had like an empty place to myself most of the day. I started
Yeah.
like belting, singing, and I learned how to
Mm.
sing. Like I discovered my voice, like metaphorically and literally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only, I guess, advice I would give to kids who've like been through something like me. Like just lean into your creativity because that's something they can try to suppress it and they can bully you into like not shining, but you have it. You have
Yeah.
it, and you need to show that shit.
Oof. I feel like there's
I
so
know.
much to that, even just like the creativity aspect. But before we get into that, yeah, I love that you're shaking it out because yeah, there's probably a lot of energy. Um, what helped you? What has supported you through this process as you've been unraveling, as you use your voice? Is it your husband, your friends? What grounds you? Like, what gives you power to continue?
I'm very privileged. I have una terapista, terapeuta,
Terapeuta, I
bien
think.
chingona, bien
Okay.
chingona. And not everyone has access to that
Mm-hmm.
because the place I specifically get therapy from, they are actively practicing like anti-colonial like ideologies. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like we're not gonna just tell you like they don't just tell me, oh, let's just get a job and be
Mm-hmm.
independent. It's like they understand that this is a
Mm-hmm.
whole part of a system and depression and mental health is just a symptom of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really helpful. I took counseling in my university because they offer it. Again, not the best, but it's something, like
Yeah.
I feel like every time I would go to any therapist, they'd be like, "Oh, well, you have to try to not, at least try to not be depressed." Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, oh, que la
Yeah, like if it
canción.
was a matter of trying. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm getting up every day. I'm working at fast food places. I'm getting my degree. I'm taking care of my little siblings and like handling their emotional, um, like managing everyone's emotional state in my home. Like, I am trying. Like, how are you gonna look at me and tell me that I'm not trying just because I'm like simply pointing out like there's a flaw in the system and I'm not
Mhm.
happy about it. And they just
Mhm.
look and you're like, that's how it is.
Mhm.
Um, so once my husband was the one who was like, let's get you, I want to get help you like get like a good therapist. And I looked for one and they're out of pocket. They're out of
Okay.
pocket. But they
Mhm.
have a sliding scale. Like it's like
Mm.
sometimes it's like based on what you can pay and all that stuff. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
But if
Mhm.
I can pay the full thing, I'm gonna pay the full thing because they're doing amazing work.
Mhm.
But that's
Mhm.
something I did for myself. Like I learning self agency, personal agency is probably the best thing that's happened to me. Like
Mhm.
it's true. Like you the question was like how do you support yourself? And it's like solita. Solita. Like I can't um it's not the best thing, right? Because I did get burnt out and I'm trying new ways. Like I talked to my friend, like my best friend of all time. She's been such a help for me. But when you're alone and you're alone with your thoughts again, it's like, damn, like how do I get out
Hard.
of this hole again? And yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
So like learning, like reaching out to people, no, finding like people like me was helpful.
Mhm.
Finding podcasts, listening to them, like and
Mm.
like hearing that, like rewiring like the way I think because
Mhm.
I came from a place where like that happened to me. So I'm just my trauma, and that's the only thing that
Mm.
it's gonna come of me, just misery and torment and lamenting the shit that happened to me. But that's not true, and I guess it
Right.
goes into the stop you suppressing your creativity. Um,
Mhm.
Creating my podcast helped me so much because I don't think
Mm.
if I made my podcast, if I didn't make my podcast, I don't think I would have come to the realization that that happened, and I wouldn't be
Really?
here talking to
Wow.
you.
Yeah. It helped you kind of like start unpacking that for yourself, would you say?
Yeah, because
Okay.
it just wasn't like the conversations I was having with like the state assigned like therapist. It wasn't enough. It didn't have the depth I wanted, and
Mhm.
I found it myself. But I like to say I found it myself, but no, like it wasn't just by myself. It was like again people who have been in my shoes, and I read what they said, and I found podcasts that like resonated with me, and I that's what I would do. So it's like you could say I did it
Mhm.
myself, but no, like I had the will to like just take care of myself and be nicer to myself and all that stuff with the help of
Mhm.
amazing creators who have been in those same situations. The
Mhm.
podcast that
Okay.
I first ever listened to was
Mhm.
Marihuanera, a podcast for potheads.
Mm.
It's Mala Munoz. She's a really amazing, I bet she's a creative person. Like she does a bunch of things. She does film. She's working on her film like degree, if I'm not mistaken. She does comedy.
Okay.
She does everything over there in LA. And my little brother recommended it to me. He was like, "Hey, I think you'd like this.
Mm.
Yeah, I think you'd like this. This is
Mhm.
like up your alley." I'm like, "Okay, I'll check it out." And I did, and I was hooked. I was hooked on podcasts. And I'm so happy that that was like one of the first podcasts I listened to by a Latina because I feel like if I listened to
Yeah,
like another podcast, I'd be like, I don't think I would have been like, oh, podcasts aren't my thing.
I see.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Like
So
that art
really, it
form
was
isn't
that.
for me. Yeah.
Yes. Or because
Mm.
again, like I don't like superficial like work.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't. Sometimes it's fun, like whatever, Brad Summer, like Brad Summer, all that stuff. Like it has its moments, but if that's like the whole, like the entire media that you consume, it's not gonna help you. It's
Right.
not.
Yeah. It's only keeping you distracted. I feel like A couple, I mean, you've named so much, but I think one of the things that I kind of perceived or visualized was like the running up against these closed doors, maybe like when you spoke your truth to your parents and it was like denial, dismissal, right? When you spoke to your sister and then similarly, maybe at some point there was a seconds where it dropped in, she acknowledged it, and then she kind of took that back with her reaction as, you know, after that. It's like, and I see that as kind of an experience that people have in different ways with different traumas, where it's like you face or even like I'm thinking for corporate, which is very different, very surface, let's say, pero para mí era como I feel like I'm just like running up against walls. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, how do I get out of this maze? And I imagine that's how it feels for some people when they're like about to break through into whatever healing or awakening looks like for them. But it's just like you
Mm,
keep running up against where you thought, oh, maybe I'll reach for support here. And it like dissolves. You can't even hold on to it, and then like, oh, maybe I'll go over here. And then it disappears and you're like what the fuck, like.
yes.
So yeah, that's kind of what I like envisioned as you were speaking, like the different avenues you took to try and like get that understanding, that space, that validation, and how beautiful that you found a therapist that could do that for you, and that maybe was like a piece of it. It's not all of it, but that you continue to then search for other pieces of that, like once you tap into one, you can kind of search for the rest. And so I guess want to name that for listeners. Don't get disillusioned when you don't find everything in one thing. There's
Mhm.
specks of hope and light and whatever it is that you need validation. It might be different people, like you named, maybe different creators, different therapists. Like, know that maybe yes, one thing won't solve it all, but as you go you'll find like little nuggets of what you need, right?
Yes, exactly that. Exactly.
Yeah. And the other thing that I thought of or that you named is creativity. So yeah, and it's so interesting because I have spoken to people who've gone through trauma earlier on in their childhood, and how I'm actually not super well versed in chakras, but it is kind of something that I work with when I work with like energy. I think there's something there that a lot of children experience this, and it blocks their root chakra because it takes away your feeling of safety, which then takes away the power to create, because you don't to create you need some sense of safety. And so I feel like it's so interesting to me that a lot of kids are robbed of that, or that is impacted early on for them. It's a conversation that I started with a client where she's finally being able to tap into her creativity, her self trust, her like it took her a really long time because that was taken from her, from really young age, and she couldn't even like exist within her body for a really long time. And so we were just her and I were just talking about that, like what is it, or what is that energy that tends to be attacked in some way? I don't know if it's making sense, but
No, yes, absolutely.
yeah.
It totally makes sense because like how I said back then, like I feel like my what do we say, throat chakra or
Throat
voice
chakra.
chakra, I
Yeah, your throat chakra.
think it was blocked. And
Mhm.
but that's the thing, like I've always been like this. I've always been like someone who like sticks up for like the just reason. I don't know why. Maybe
Mhm.
because I'm an Aries. But like I said, like when my parents like were spewing like ignorant shit, I'd be the one who'd be like, "That's wrong." Hey, but I learned in school that that's not okay. This and this and this and that. And they'd be like, "Oh, shut up, shut up. We don't want to think, and we don't want to do
Mhm.
anything." And it's just like, oh, so it's like kids could internalize that and be like, "Okay, that means I don't speak."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it really goes back into like the children should be seen and not heard. And I think
Yeah.
the opposite, like they are the ones who have the most access to their imagination. Like it has no limits, and that's the most
Mhm.
powerful thing. It's life that jades you, and the bitter adults in your life that tell you that nothing is X, Y, and Z is impossible, when it is. It
Mhm.
absolutely is.
Mhm.
And for example, like the chiquita, I'd be like, I want to be an artist when I grow up. I want to major in art in school. And my mom and my older sister both looked at each other and then looked at me and laughed.
Wow.
Well, you're gonna starve. So, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I guess that's not okay, right? What's the other thing? And it's so funny because right when I was orientation at my local university, and I had put like English as my major because I was just gonna be like, okay, I'll just be a teacher, an English teacher, like my older sister. But when I was signing up for my local college, like I had already like decided, okay, it's gonna be a bachelor of English to teach English in school, whatever. Like it'll make money, it's safe. Something like told me don't do it. And in orientation, they give you like a paper. If you want to change your major, just fill it out. And I was like, and I changed it
Ooh.
to, I was like, I can't, they told me I can't be an artist. What can I do? And I put political science because I was always really interested
Mm.
in policy and politics and the way all this shit works, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was so like I was just like, I did it. Like I just did it. And I'm so glad I did. I'm
Yeah.
so glad I did. Like, do I have a job with that? No. But do I have a better understanding of policy and politics in the United States? Yes. And I'm so glad that I do.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah. So, and that's always been like my life. It's always been full of like impulsive decisions that like come out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like the universe is like takes over in that second. It's like, girl, let me do it for you. Like, that's how it feels. Like, that's how it
Yeah.
feels.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's your intuition or you see it as the universe?
I would like to think that it's the universe like speaking through me or like moving through me.
I love like seeing you express yourself the way you do and letting out like you let out your emotion and then you it's like you have this comedic relief tapped into you también, you know, where like you make your joke and then but that's you expressing yourself using your voice and that's so beautiful. So it's so cool to witness in this episode. Thank you for letting us do that.
Thank you so much. And I guess the last thing I'll say like about creativity and expressing yourself and like anger, it's like anger has been villainized because when you see
Mhm.
anger in nature, like aggression, it's all, like an animal being aggressive, un puma, una pantera, un cougar being aggressive. It's because they're defending something. And anger as an emotion has been villainized because that's, I think, one of the only ways, like, one of the only cathartic reliefs that we allow men to have, just men. But if a
Mhm.
woman has it, that's unacceptable. You're being emotional, you're being irrational, you're being hysteric.
Mhm.
And it's like, nah, fuck that. Like, en el mundo de la naturaleza, las leonas son las que defienden. Las leonas son las que
Mm.
cazan. Las leonas son las chingonas, dude. Like, and yeah, the leon is there to like help. I don't know what they do, but like I'm sorry, I don't like, and that's not shady. Like I don't know what they
Yeah,
do. Like they're,
yeah.
but yeah, like that's my primal instinct to just defend the things that deserve defending and things that don't stand a chance on their own. You know what I mean? Like little kids, dude. Like that little self, like that little me. Oh my god, I have a picture of myself here.
Mm. Let's
Me
see
with the
here.
baddies. Me with the
Ooh, okay.
baddies. I knew who
Sus
I was.
wigs.
um,
Oh,
like she didn't deserve any of that. So I'm angry for
yeah.
her and like because no one else is gonna fucking do that, you know? And the
Mhm.
same way I'm angry for this child, like I'm angry for my mom's inner child, I'm angry for my dad's inner child, I'm angry for everyone's inner child. Like so don't just think it's me being enojona. Like it's like no, like we should be angry. But there's a way to channel it. And
Right.
something beautiful that my mom has done, she was a writer. She was a
Mm.
writer. This man, this dude, this profesor de su escuela, le robó sus poesías. She was a little girl.
Wow.
He robbed her poetry and she suppressed that for a long time. But she was always writing things and she wrote it very beautifully. Like when she wrote like she can't come to school today. Like it was always written like, I don't know, like in just
Mm.
this atentamente, like it was super well written all
Yeah.
the time. And then recently she started like writing again, and it's like they're
Mm.
spewing out of her, like
Wow.
spewing out of her, like it's
Yeah.
crazy. And I remember like, oh, like I'm also a poet. Like I got it from my mom. You know,
Mm.
I got it from my mom. And if it wasn't for this lady who went through all this shit, like I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to
Mhm.
like share my poetry with her. Like we have like poetry like battles.
Ooh,
like like
okay.
she talks up she like is like, this one is about you. And she's like, it's in your voice. This is you speaking. And she's like, can you handle it? Can you handle it? And I'm like, a ver. And she
Yeah.
words things so much beautifully when she like writes it poetically rather than like she's not a speaker, she's not a diplomatic person,
Mhm.
but because she has the
When she
passion,
writes.
and the
Yeah.
passion is like the most sincere,
Wow.
honest, authentic self. Like, and seeing that like from her is
Mhm.
really healing as well.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so beautiful. Yeah, she's getting to connect with her creativity, right? And look how long
Yes.
it also took her, but she's getting back to it. How beautiful.
Yes.
Wow. Just thinking about like how this episode started, the cobija with the like that's poetic already too, like the cobija con sus hoyitos and like if it's going to break more, if it's going to look good when it's like I think as I was hearing that and then as I've been hearing the episode, I'm like, como you're holding so much at the same time, you're aware of so much and I think there's a lot of listeners that are probably doing the same that probably there isn't like this very neat story, right? It's not a neat story where it's like all kind of put together and like, oh, and I said that and it that got fixed and then I see, we wish it would. We wish we would just like be able to kind of like make the cobija look beautiful again, right? And like move forward. But the reality I think that a lot of us experience is like, yeah, a veces you mend this little hole y se hace uno más grande allá, y ahora vas para allá and like you have to do that. And so I think like that's worth naming and just kind of like seeing it in all of our stories. There never is like a very perfect outcome. It's the reality is you are dealing with people, and people are imperfect and people have beauty. They can have like, your mom, there were aspects of her that hurt you and didn't protect you, and there are aspects of you that heal you and make you inspired and make you, right? And that it's hard sometimes to understand when we're just trying to feel better, when we're trying to like make sense of it all. But I think it's the reality and I'm getting the chills because I just feel like it's so real, como que
Yeah.
there's so much to it and seeing it through or choosing not to, like it must be hard, to think, do I estrange, do I move, do I set boundaries? But I think like finding beauty wherever you find yourself, finding the purpose of it all is part of it. It's like how can you weave in your story for you? It has to make sense to you. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else.
Yes, absolutely.
So love to ask the guest of the day to share a mensajito with those first gens listening. I mean, I know we make this episode with them in mind, but I wanted to come from you. Like, if you get to speak to an audience of first gens, what would be a mensajito that you would share?
We need your creativity. We need your passion. We need your stories. Um, you're not alone. You're not powerless. You have a whole audience here, like literally like Priscilla, the work that she's doing, she has you in mind. The work I'm doing, I have y'all in mind. Like maybe we don't know each other, but our stories are similar, and in that sense we do. I come from a religious background, obviously not religious anymore, but again, like I take what I resonates and leave what doesn't. And we are all one. When they say like there's only one God, like sure you could say there's only one God, but if the God, like energy source, lives in all of us, in that way we're all united. In that way we're one. In that
Yeah.
way we're monotheistic or whatever. But there's so many different aspects of it because it's going to be contradicting. Like life is contradicting. You need to live in that contradiction and find your comfort in that contradiction and know that it's okay for things not to make complete sense, But as long as you keep going, you keep pursuing, you keep being authentic to yourself. If you want to dance, dance. You want to sing, sing. Like, sí hay oportunidades para hacer eso. Que no se te cierre el mundo, because the world is here for you to learn and to take advantage of any single a chance and opportunity you get to chase your dreams. Like, that's what the world is telling you to do. Maybe in the past it was telling you to stick to the status quo, just get a job that makes good money. I think everyone can feel in the big weave of it all that that reality is crumbling,
Mm-hmm.
and this is your chance to just aprovecha, like the time that you have, because at one point I didn't think I wanted to be here, and now it's like, I don't know, I can't imagine myself like doing anything else like than what I want to do creatively and for the world as well in the activist sense. So sí
Mm-hmm.
se puede, que no se te cierre el mundo. You can do it, and we believe in you.
Yes, we do. Yay! Okay,
Yay!
mujer. All right. So, also, where can people find you online? I will, of course, leave everything in the description. But yeah, feel free to plug what you do.
Okay, will do. I have my podcast, Malcriada Thoughts. I also have my website, malcriadathoughts.com, where you'll find all my stuff, all my socials, all my poetry and blogs, if that's something you're into. What else? What else? Oh, I also would like to plug the Artist Media, which is the company that I'm starting with my very, very good friend and amazing CEO, who is the founder, Tatiana Sean, also known as Yano the Artist. It's an ethical multimedia company. We're trying to basically compete with the big, big multimedia companies that don't show don't show good media and are more indoctrinating and limited, and don't share the true stories of women, POC, indigenous folk, uh, all the marginalized communities. Like, we want to make good stories for the people, and
Mm-hmm.
in whatever media we can, but do it ethically and not in a way that exploits
Agree.
everyone. So that's my
Ooh.
pitch. That's
Yay.
the company.
Okay, that's actually really cool. I was just talking to my mom yesterday about how I feel like we need that. We need to make sure that we como paint the correct pictures about our people, like they I think they get away with so much because a lot of media sticks to similar roles for Latinos or roles for BIPOC, like como que they're very strategic about what they do and how they do it and how they present us. And
Uh-huh.
and so I love that you're doing that you're starting to think in that way, because I think we're gonna need that a lot. So yeah, that's super cool. ¿Cómo se llama otra vez?
The Artist Media.
The Artist Media. Okay, cool. All right. Well, thank you so, so much for being on the podcast and for sharing your story, for letting us go into the depth, right, of your story. Like we were saying prior to the episode, I definitely always wanted the intention of this podcast to be real, not to be like you were saying, like surface level podcasts, etc. Like, no, this is real stories of first gens and what we're navigating. And some of us show up online and they get to see the empowered, the creative, the inspired version of us, but there's usually also something behind that, and hurdles that took getting over or moving through in order to get there. So thank you for taking us there in your story. And I'm excited to do a part 2 with you, where we're going to talk about some nuances that have to do with a little bit, right, with your career and what you learned there, but then also bringing in what we're seeing in the world right now. So stay tuned for that, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please share it with your amigos, amigas, amigues. And remember, First Gen, I love you, I love me, and I can't wait for you to love yourself.